Welcome into Outkick the Show. I appreciate all of you for hanging out with me, wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. It's Thursday, and we are moving rapidly towards July 4th, which is going to be on Saturday. And I cannot wait for July 4th to be here. And I'm about to head to the pool and also the beach. And so I wanted to go ahead and get an early show in for you guys today on Thursday, even though usually we're on later in the afternoon. So a couple of things right off the top. We had an unbelievable day yesterday for Outkick VIP. And I'm going to keep teasing this. I'm going to keep telling you to all go sign up if you are of the opinion that the nation has gone insane and you feel like the media has also gone insane, and that you are fed up with it. Outkick VIP is for you. We're creating a community where you can interact with other people who haven't lost their minds, where you can interact with me, Jason Whitlock, all of our writers at Outkick. It's easy to sign up for. Go to any of our articles. There's an ad for it. People are signing up like crazy. We legitimately believe we're going to have tens of thousands of members by the time football season is over. That's where it's going. We're going to have a special VIP message board, special signups. Go get signed up today. You can sign up somebody you like and say, hey, stop being an idiot. I just gave you this subscription. You need to be paying attention. That's Outkick VIP. Clay Travis, Jason Whitlock, everybody that you love. It's just $99 for the year. You also get an autographed copy of my book and access to our VIP events. We're going to be doing behind-the-scenes articles. We're going to be doing a behind-the-scenes interaction. We're going to be doing Periscope, Facebook, Zooms just for our members. It's going to be outstanding, so go get signed up today. If you want to support Outkick, it's number one thing you can do. If you want to support Outkick, and again, you get an autographed copy of my book for all new subscribers, and what better gift is there for the summer? All right, coronavirus update. Deaths are down by double digits. All right, let me repeat that. Deaths are down by double digits this week. If you just read the media coverage, you would think things are a disaster. No, deaths are down by over 90% since April 21st. Deaths have continued to decline in this week, even as all the fear porn has taken root in Texas, in California, in Florida, in Arizona. Everybody out there, the data reflects that deaths continue to decline substantially. People say, oh, how can deaths be going down if cases are going up? And the answer is pretty straightforward, because the people who are getting sick are younger, okay? People in their 20s and their 30s, sometimes even younger. And by and large, those people have no major impact. People say, well, hospitalizations are up. Well, sometimes people who are in their 20s and 30s have bad reactions and they need to actually be hospitalized. And when that happens, okay, when that happens, they tend to be there for very short periods of time before they get back out, okay? That is the real data. That's what's going on. Numbers are down again this week from a death perspective, because the people who are sick now are sick at much younger ages, and they have a death rate nearly of zero. Again, you are more likely, if you are a college-age kid, to die driving to campus than you are to die of the coronavirus. Okay? So this is a no-brainer. All right? The data is clear. And I want to re-emphasize this, because I don't think it's gotten enough attention in general. All right? This hasn't gotten enough attention. Amid all the fear porn, 67,000 pediatricians, the Association of American Pediatricians, the AAP, I believe they are called, came out with a recommendation that should be the number one story in all of America this week. And it is, kids need to be back in school this fall. I've got a 12-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 5-year-old. They need to be back in school. I say that as a parent who cares more about this than anything under the sun. I care more about my kids than anything. But they all need to be back in school, and they need to be back in school in the fall, and they need to be back in school in person. The risk factors to kids are near zero from the coronavirus. They aren't spreading the virus substantially. Your kids are 20 times as likely to die of the flu, the seasonal flu, as they are to die of the coronavirus. And so this is not a difficult situation. This is an easy result. Kids aren't getting the same form of education from Zoom classes. It's more difficult for teachers. Certainly young kids, it doesn't work at all. Got to stop listening to the Corona bros and actually look at the data. For people out there who say, oh, you're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. Well, I could have been a doctor. All right. If I'd wanted to go to med school, I'd be a doctor. Instead, I went to law school and I went to double grad school and I got 2 graduate degrees in something else. If I had wanted to be a doctor, I could have been a doctor. All right. But 67,000 pediatricians are doctors. They treat your children. They tend to be very conservative and not take risk. And their recommendation is kids need to be back in school. This is a big story. It should be a monstrous story. There was no reason to ever shut down schools. There is no data that reflects that shutting down schools in any way limited the number of infections. We shut down schools in March because we thought this was going to be a flu-like outbreak that impacted everybody across all age groups. People out there are like, what about teachers getting sick? Teachers, all the studies reflect, do not get sick from students. How do we know this? Because we kept a lot of different places open during this shutdown for kids of essential workers, and there weren't outbreaks at these places. 22 European countries are already back at school. Australia, New Zealand, they haven't seen any impact from schools being back open. This is a no-brainer. 67,000 pediatricians agree at the AAP. Kids need to be back in school. It's an easy solution, all right? So this is an easy fix. This is an easy solution. All right. People say Donald Trump is losing the campaign right now. I think that's fair to say. With odds markets, people can bet everything else. This is a ridiculous issue that he has created much for himself. He is losing the campaign. Joe Biden is not winning the campaign. Let me repeat that. Donald Trump is losing. Joe Biden is not winning. Joe Biden's basically staying in the basement of his house, trying to avoid ever talking to the media, trying to avoid having any other event. He is letting this be straightforward Donald Trump's election. It's a referendum on Donald Trump, all right? And Donald Trump is doing an awful job right now of making this a referendum that makes a lot of sense. So I have got a straightforward 3-prong message that would win Donald Trump re-election if he were disciplined enough to focus on it and execute. It's not complicated. I like to sum things up into 3 issues because most of the time people can't remember more than 3 issues, all right? Whoever tells the best story typically wins, all right? Here is the 3-prong Donald Trump wins in 2020 case for his re-election. Joe Biden doesn't have to make a case, right? If you're asking me to give Joe Biden advice, it's just to stay out of the way and let Donald Trump implode and not even need to actually run a campaign because people are voting against Donald Trump. They're not voting right now for Joe Biden, all right? Here's the 3-prong step. Step number 1, focus exclusively on the economy. Instead of all this haphazard tweeting about things that don't matter, the number 1 place where the public trusts Donald Trump over Joe Biden is the economy. You have to focus on the return, the fact that this is a V-shaped curve, the fact that the economy was the best in the world and will be the best in the world again by next year, but the coronavirus derailed us for a short period of time. It wasn't a structural inefficiency or breakdown of the economy. It was the coronavirus. The numbers actually support this. Numbers came out today. The unemployment rate is rebounding faster. By the end of July, all these unemployment benefits for people who don't want to work will be over. We'll be back into single digits, I believe, in unemployment sometime in August. By the time of the election, it's not crazy to think that we can be at 6 or 7% unemployment and rapidly improving. That is the number 1 story that Donald Trump should stay on. Don't focus on anything else. Watch less news, watch less media, focus on the economy. It's the economy, stupid, as James Carville once said. Number 2, he needs to focus on China, and he needs to absolutely destroy China. with what they're doing on Hong Kong, with what they're doing with internment camps, with what they are doing around the world. We are in a new Cold War, and China is our enemy. All right? China is our enemy. Donald Trump needs to demonstrate that he will be harder on China than Joe Biden, Beijing Biden, whatever he wants to call him. And he needs to go to war with China effectively in a war of words. He needs to blame China for the coronavirus and their response to it. He needs to tie them to Hong Kong. He needs to make it clear that the 21st century, and I 100% believe this, is going to be about American might versus China's might. Who's going to win, a democracy or an authoritarian communist dictatorship? We need to go to economic war with China, and Donald Trump needs to lead that charge. He needs to be tougher on China than Joe Biden. And then number 3, he needs to point out the overreach and excesses of the Democrats when it comes to cultural issues. Democrats want to destroy Mount Rushmore. They want to dynamite it. They want to pull down statues of George Washington. They want to destroy Thomas Jefferson. They want to destroy Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant. All of this is a cultural failing of the Democratic Party. He needs to go after them on Mount Rushmore because it's a huge win for him. And importantly, he needs to focus on defund the police. Defunding the police is supported by a tiny minority of the audience. It will lead beyond a shadow of a doubt to more black deaths, which is supposed to be the exact opposite of what Black Lives Matter stands for. We know this based on what happened in Chicago, based on what happened in Baltimore, based on what we're already seeing happen in Minnesota, and based on what we're already seeing happen in New York City. We lived through this already. When there are fewer cops and when cops are not allowed to police, death rates skyrocket from murder, and most of the people who are dying are black. Okay? Defunding the police is an awful idea. It's not supported by the vast majority of the American public. Donald Trump needs to slam those 3 issues. Let me repeat them. The fact that he's better on the economy, the fact that he is better on China, and the fact that he is better on national sanity when it comes to things like defunding the police and Mount Rushmore. That's all he should talk about. That's all he should talk about. He'll win the election. I don't know if Donald Trump's disciplined enough to do this. I don't know if he's disciplined enough to listen to this. I know there's a lot of people in the White House who watch and listen to this show. I don't know if they put this in front of Donald Trump and say, hey, listen, these are the only 3 things you need to focus on. Boom, you'll win the election. That's it. If he can't do that, he's going to lose because the election is a referendum on him. All right? Joe Biden is not winning. Donald Trump is losing. And so if he can't, over the next 5 months, make a cogent case for his reelection, focused on the economy, China, defunding police, and Mount Rushmore on a cultural issues. It's 3 issues. Boom, boom, boom. He will win the election. If he can't do it, he won't. All right? Period. I'll come in and I'll tell him the same thing. And by the way, I'll go talk to Joe Biden. And I'll tell Joe Biden, hey, all you got to do is stay out of the way because Donald Trump might implode. He wins the election if he does those 3 things. If he can't do those things, he's going to lose. This is not complicated. You don't need to overthink it. It's pretty straightforward. The NFL preseason. I like it. I like knocking down the NFL preseason to 2 games instead of 4, eliminating week 1 and week 4. There's no reason to have an NFL preseason. I saw my buddy Dan Wetzel tweet, the only thing that American sports fans 100% agree on right now is there's too many NFL preseason games. So knocking them down to 2 makes a lot of sense. I don't even think we need 2. All I care about is the regular season. But if the NFL wants to knock it down to week 2 and week 3, this is not in any way a complicated issue. The NFL got it right in knocking down the 2 preseason games. I'd be fine if the NFL eliminated all preseason lines. We've got NASCAR reaching out to Donald Trump. They sell ads. Donald Trump has bought a car for 2020. His 2020 election, it's getting a lot of attention. Whatever, this is what NASCAR does. If I was Joe Biden, I'd go buy a car too. We had this discussion before, and sometimes people complain. They say, hey, remember last fall, I guess it was early this spring, Mayor Bloomberg was spending money like crazy, and he was buying up all the Outkick podcast ads. So you listen to an Outkick podcast, and Mayor Bloomberg's ads were everywhere. And some people emailed me and complained. They were like, why are you taking money from Michael Bloomberg's campaign? And I said, I'll take money from anybody who pays, all right? If Donald Trump wants to spend money to reach Outkick's audience, I'll take his money. If Joe Biden wants to spend money to reach Outkick's audience, I'll take his money. I don't discriminate. I'm a capitalist. So I don't blame NASCAR for taking money from Donald Trump's campaign to put on a car. I don't blame a rider and a driver. And I wouldn't blame anybody for taking money from Joe Biden. Mayor Mike Bloomberg was spending money like crazy. What do you think I use the money that we make from advertising for to go hire more people and to grow Outkick? So why in the world would I complain if somebody wants to spend money to reach my audience? More power to them. I'm not going to content discriminate. If somebody wants to reach my audience, they can spend money to reach them. That's what capitalism is. If they believe that you guys are going to respond in a favorable way to the ads that they serve you, more power to you. More power to them. This is easy. So Lee Greenwood, we got July 4th coming up, and he's recorded a new version of God Bless the USA. I don't know that it's fair to say that God Bless the USA is the greatest song that's ever been recorded in the history of mankind. But God Bless the USA is the greatest song that's ever been recorded in the history of mankind. Lee Greenwood, 77 years old, absolutely phenomenal every single time he sings it. From the hills of Tennessee, gets me every single time. He is on fire, and he is proud to be an American. I love Lee Greenwood. My dad still, I think, thinks the peak of his life experience on America was being at the 1985-86 Sugar Bowl between Tennessee and Miami when Lee Greenwood came out at halftime and sang God Bless the USA. It was an iconic moment. I think my dad, if he had to rate the moments in his life, would say my sister and mine's birth were 1 and 2. Lee Greenwood singing God Bless the USA at Tennessee, Miami is probably number 3 on his long-time list. Okay, a couple of other things. Do we have anything else here that I need to get to before I head out to the beach and to the pool for the day? I bring a tear to a glass eye is a great question. I appreciate all of you. We are going to have football. We are going to have sports. I understand the Corona bros are out there running around like crazy, but all the data is moving in our direction. I appreciate all of you. My name is Clay Travis. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Go sign up for Outkick VIP if you love what we're doing at Outkick. I'm looking outside right now to see whether or not the rain is going to be coming down. As soon as the rain is done, I'm headed to the beach. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and making June by far the greatest month in the history of Outkick. We had millions of people out there hanging out on a day-to-day basis, and this is fantastic. I love all of you. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. Enjoy your weekends. I think I'll do a show tomorrow. Go read Outkick. Go download, subscribe to the podcast, and go sign up for Outkick VIP. God bless Lee Greenwood. DBAP unless you need to SBAP. I'll see you guys. Bye. Love you, Facebook. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See y'all.